morning, everyone. Thank you guys so much for showing up today. I am Audrey Hughey, and today we're going to be talking about organization and scheduling and how you can use it, and if you could do the 3 bells real quick, to revolutionize your writing life. I want you to be able to get more done, just fill out, prevent burnout, and actually love your life. Because one thing I think we all know at this point, we've all seen someone or been through it ourselves where we get in this hamster wheel of production. We have these big goals, and I know I'm a chronic overachiever, but sometimes we don't plan in time to take care of ourselves, and it affects us mentally, it affects us physically, and so there are actually ways that we can prevent this and still get a lot done. So that's what I want to talk about today. So real quick, if you want to go through these, if you've ever felt like you just don't have enough time, you've been burned out before, physically, mentally, you've been missing out on life, or like so many other people have all the time they need to do what they need to do, and if you only had a little more time, then you can hit your goals. Let me tell you, you are in the right place today. So real quick, what we're going to cover, just go right through that. Just a couple different ways to optimize your time, release some pressure, stuff like that. Real quick though, you can go next. I want to tell you a little bit about me real quick. So, build the first 2 for me. So I am a U.S. Army veteran. I did 14 years active duty and reserve, and that reserve time was very non-traditional. Don't worry, I had a boring job. So I just got to, have big guns, and I loved it. So anyway, but a lot of my organizational skills and time management and order of priority prioritization was gained through my time in service and the kind of jobs that I had. Build the next 2 for me. Now, as I transitioned out of the Army, I had kids, I went into the defense industry. I deployed twice with the defense industry as a contractor, Afghanistan. I can't help it, I love deployments. But it helped me take the things I was learning in uniform and start to apply them to my civilian job as well. Because sometimes people don't like to take those things, and they can really help. Next 2. And my last position specifically, I was at a defense industry college, and I was a subject matter expert. And what we did is I contributed to building courses and training for defense industry professionals and soldiers and sailors, airmen, etc. And Marines, we can't forget the Marines. So anyway, I helped build this training. I was a subject matter expert, and I'm all about adult training. I love teaching, so that's why I like to do this. Next 2. And I have a Bachelor of English in Writing, and these are just some random pictures so you get a little taste of who I am. That's my draft cross horse. I have a Bachelor of English and a concentration in Writing, because once I decided that, no, I don't want to go for, what everybody says, go the smart route, do a Bachelor of Science. I said, no, I'm going to do what I love. And so I went for English, and next 2 builds. And then I got my Master of Arts. I should have my conferral on December 1st in Ancient Classical History, because I'm a total geek. And so, and that's me at Heidelberg. I love Heidelberg. But why I brought these up in relation to what we're talking about today is because I wanted to use my post 9/11 GI Bill to its maximum benefit. With the post 9/11, you get time. And you get so much money per year, but you can maximize that time if you have an expensive program. So I did my Bachelor of Arts and my Master of Arts in the 4 years allotted. So I had some training while I was in, I did some online, on-base school, but most of that I went to school double, triple, and quadruple time. There was one semester when I took 24 credits. So I have learned a lot about time management, and I am one of those people who struggles with perfectionism. So I like to get high GPA. I will beat myself up over an A-. So for me, I had to make sure I had enough time to study and things like that. So next 2, please. Now, I also love writing. Of course, I make planners because I'm such a geek and a nerd for systems. And I write thrillers or fantasy anthology. I kind of put my fingers in all the pies. Is anyone else like that? You kind of like to write across there. There's my tribe. All right, guys. Next 2. And then, just so we have some more points of connection here, I love Elaine Cunningham. Does anybody know who Elaine Cunningham is? If not, you need to read her if you like fantasy. She wrote for Forgotten Realms, and she just blows my mind. But anyway, that's me and Nora Roberts, because I have been living in West Virginia since 2013, and only just this last summer did I get to see her, and she was 20 minutes north of me in Boonesboro, Maryland. So it was good to finally get up there, and her husband's bookstore actually featured this image on their page. So that was a high point for me to finally meet her. All right, guys. So next one. Okay, so if you can let that build out. Why do we want to schedule and organize? Let me tell you, learning these skills, developing these skills, and then refining them has helped me reduce stress. And I know that's big for everybody. There's some cultural issues with stress, but really what we put on ourselves and the way we do it can affect how much we feel stressed. And stress and brain fog, all this stuff is interconnected. And we want to prevent burnout while not sacrificing productivity. So one last thing, I don't want to miss out. I had my 2 kids back to back, so 3-month break between kids or pregnancies, and that meant I had to do double and triple time graduate school while raising 2 babies, and growing a business, and writing and submitting to fantasy anthologies, and commuting and working and all that nonsense. But learning how to schedule for what works for me made it so I could manage that and do that. And people said, "Are you on crack? Do you ever sleep?" You know. So all right, next. All right, go through this. And the results of what we're going to do today is I want you guys to get more words in. I want you to write more books. I want you to get more sales, more milestones. I want you to feel like we have more time. We all have 24 hours. But I love looking at my day and knowing that I'm going to get stuff done and say, man, I have time to watch TV with my husband, because it's his thing. But next, I also want more time for more fake shootouts at the OK Corral. I love Tombstone. So a little bit drilling down into what we're going to do, not just what we're going to cover. I don't want to just throw theory and tips at you guys. I want you to walk away with something. So I hope you have pens, laptops, tablets, your phone ready, because we're actually going to do something today. We're going to map out your 2020. You're going to leave here with your plan for 2020, and we're going to actually develop something to help you execute that plan. All right, next. And I'll give you some other tips and tricks at the end, but mostly, all right. I just want to preface this. This is not meant to restrain your creativity. This is not meant to be rigid and inflexible. It's not meant to box you in and say, you have to hit this, or you need to punish yourself. I want you to be very careful with punishment and reward. Absolutely, you must understand that this is just a guideline. This is just a guideline. And I'm going to give you another analogy that works better later, but think of it as a guideline so that every day you know what you need to do to move the needle forward. Has anyone ever woken up and said, I have so much to do, I don't know where to start? Yeah? So this is what we're going to do. We're going to get clear. I used to have so much trouble sleeping. I would go to bed and my mind would be buzzing. What do I need to do tomorrow? I have so many things. And now I go to bed and I'm asleep in less than 2 minutes. So it's one of those things where now, because I have my system, and everybody's a little bit different, I'm going to show you how to make this work for you. I go to bed and I don't worry. I know exactly what I have to do the next day to reach my goals. All right, next. All right, there we go. Defining your overarching vision, if you could just go through those. Your vision of success, your version of success, okay? So this is something that's already been hit on in this conference and that I'm so thankful for. But a lot of times we say, well, this person is doing X, so if I do that, then I'll make money too. You could try that, but think about the kind of life you want to lead. For me, I don't want to write a book a month. Well, maybe when the kids are in school, I do. Okay, but during the summer, I know that my time is going to be slower because I want to create memories with my children. To me, that is so much more important. I want to spend time with my parents when they come to visit or when I go on vacation to see them. I don't want to miss on that because I have a deadline or because I filled my own plate as an independent author with more than time allows for me to actually be part of the lives of people around me. All right, so if you have the workbook, awesome. If you don't, I posted it in the group. It's also in the schedule so you can get access to it. But this workbook, thankfully I've had some great feedback already within minutes of posting. I wanted to make it really comprehensive. You can print this off and have your plan in hand. And you can reprint these pages because I have some monthly and weekly things for you. So, go ahead. Very nice. Okay, so from there, once you think about what your life you want your life to look like, and it's your version of what you want it to look like, we're going to think about your 2020 vision and what are the top 3 things that you want to achieve. Now, this is unique to each person. This does not have to be, well, I want to publish these 3 titles more than anything. That might be it. It could be a number of sales. It could be a series that you want to finish writing, or 3 series if you're a high producer. Whatever it is, think about the 3 most important things. Think about, kind of flash forward in your mind to December 31st, 2020. What, and your loved one asks you, what are you most proud of accomplishing this year? I'm not used to this desert dryness. What are you most proud of accomplishing? What do you want to be able to tell them? Do you want to tell them that, you wrote 1 million words, or that, you finally crossed that 4 figures a month, or 5 figures a month, whatever that is for you? But just think about that. Any other milestones you want to create, write those down. And then what we're going to do, don't build this out farther than this right here, just stop. So we're going to actually lay it out January through December. And what we're going to do first, once you have this written down, is go 2 more times. We're going to fill in our important events and deadlines. So go ahead. So for me, I just kind of give you a loose example of what I'm doing in 2020. I have a big project in February that's very important to me. March, I'm hosting a spring writing retreat. In June, I'm doing the 2021 Author's Planner, which is already done. And the fall writing retreat in October, and I am hoping, praying, I get to come back to 20Books Vegas in November. In December, I want you guys to notice this went in my first phase of filling in my year. December is my take it easy month because I love the holidays. I love, making those memories with my kids. My kids are crazy about snow, so whenever we get it, we have to take advantage of it. Sometimes we just don't get much snow. But December, when they're in school, I want to read. I want to catch up on my TBR list. I want to take a month to really enjoy life, and not be pushed and pressed and just really be present. So for me, I have scheduled in, I love my lifetime, and I hope you guys will maybe find some time there too. And for some people, that's vacation months. All right, next. Twice. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work through, that plan around those deadlines, around those special events, and build in my top 3 goals. And for me, for January, that is finishing my Western Horror project, for example. And so I know based on where I'm at now that I can do that. If you can build right there. There we go. Okay, so this is what it looks like when I fill this in. April, I know I can write 2 books in April, and then in May I can polish them. But June, July, August, I have basically 1 book a month I know my writing speed. But I have slowed down my production during the summer because I know I'm only writing for me, and being a work from home mom, I know that during the summer I'm going to be busy with the kids, and I don't want to be that mom that was always working. Now I do love that my kids each have their own copy of every single one of my books, and they love to write in them. They love to write and plan in their own planners, which is cute. But I don't like when my daughter says, "Mom, I'm busy, I'm working." She's 5. So, and I'm like, okay, so during the summer, we're gonna go to the park every day that weather allows. We're gonna, I'm gonna make sure that we're present and we're having fun. We're building the right kind of memories. And, my pursuit of perfectionism, I know this was a great class, I don't want her to have those same struggles for, no, I have to be working all the time. So being conscious of that, I know that I can slow down my production during the summer months because it's family time. But once we get back in September, I gotta pick up that writing speed again. So just kind of planning out my top three is finishing that project, finishing one of my thriller series, and then writing the next thriller series. So those are my top 3 things that I would be most proud of accomplishing next year. But I can plan those around other things I know are important. Because if you just say, well, I want to accomplish these 3 things, but you don't know what your year is going to look like, sometimes we set ourselves up for failure, or we don't accomplish what we intend to accomplish because life gets in the way. All right, next. So, and like I kind of mentioned, this works regardless of your writing speed. If you're writing 1 book a year, you're writing 4 books a year, or 20, 30 books a year, this can absolutely work for you. This is really less about, what you're individually doing here, and more about mapping out and having a bird's eye view of what your year is going to look like. And then what we're going to do from there, once you know what your year is going to look like, we're going to refine your quarterly plan and think about the 3 to 5 most important things that you need to focus on in the quarter. For me, that's really straightforward. If I had more events, that might have more than 3 things there. But mapping that out and knowing that you have a quarterly plan, go ahead and hit next. And so really what we're doing here is just getting clear. And the thing we're going to do is develop a detailed milestone list for each of your priorities that you set for your quarterly plan. Just a real quick thing on prioritization. Prioritization is not just making a list of the things that are most important to you. And this is why I was able to do that double, triple, quadruple times school and not lose my mind. It's because I knew every moment of every day what the most important thing was. Now, if my kids need something, they're the most important things. But when they don't need something, then this class is the most important thing because that deadline comes first. So I actually have an order of completion, I have an order of execution. So having that, I found when I've been working with people that they typically don't have that. They don't have that order of importance or order of execution clearly detailed. All right, go ahead. Go ahead. All right, so just for an example, this is my monthly milestones and my order of execution. So January, it is very clear order of execution. I cannot send the story to my editor before I've written it, right? So, now I can do covers. Thankfully, I already have the cover for this book. But, I can't format until I finalize my interior. So for this example, I have an order of execution that I need to follow. And this is really shorthand. I know I have to work 3 visions, but you don't need to drown yourself in the details. What you need to do is know, even just shorthand, what is my order of execution? And then you'll see in March, I don't have an order of execution. I actually have 1 main priority and a checklist because the venue is going to tell me when to pay the catering. The venue is going to tell me when their due dates are. I know that I can inventory my goodie bags at any time. I can finalize my presenters. They're going to be finalized before that, but just to make sure everybody's everybody's still good, that's just part of a checklist. So there are some times when your milestones will have a checklist rather than an order of execution. Now, this is the thing that has kept me on track, what I would do academically and that I have taken and just flown away with my writing with is month mapping. So go ahead and build through this. Stop right there real quick. So at the beginning of every month, right before it starts, I actually sit down and I look at an overview of my month with the dates and I fill everything out with my important dates first. And then I pick 3 Weekly priorities. Now, if I get ahead in those, that's great. But if I overload myself with 10 things to do, every time you look at that list, you're going to start to resent it a little more. So, has anyone ever looked at your to-do list and started to hate it? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So, I have a special tip on your to-do list later. But for now, think about what are the three most important things that need to happen that week. And then, I do have order of importance here, but I want to show you how this can work for you. Even though my number one priority is to outline my story, I'm actually going to do my third priority first, because Mondays are when I don't know why, but I love doing my social media, my newsletters and things like that on Mondays. I can get it all done in a day, and I feel like I've kicked off the week with a bang. So that actually works for me. If you have a day or a time of day that works better for you to complete a task, absolutely schedule it during that time, even if that's not in your order of importance or execution. Or, no, not execution. Anyway, order of importance. So then the rest of the week is working on that story, outlining and drafting. And then of course, Saturday, for me, that's self-care. Now, what we've done here is we're identifying one top priority every single day. One priority. Now, I tell you what, it is not going to take me all day to outline my story. This is something I love. This is something I already have that beats in my head. I don't need a whole day to do it. I don't need the whole day to refine it. So, am I just going to stop when I'm done outlining? Only if the kids are sick and I'm stuck at the doctor all day. Then, I'm going to just outline. But at least I know if I did that, I moved the needle forward. I made a positive step forward. So I know I'm going to actually work on drafting that day, but as long as I've got the one most important thing done, I can feel accomplished without overloading myself. And then drafting, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's my daily thing, but self-care Saturday, maybe my self-care is writing on that day, but it has to feel really good. That doesn't mean I don't squeak in time here and there, but if I want to play Red Dead Redemption, where are my Arthur Morgan fans, please? Yeah, there we go. So if I want to play Red Dead Redemption or Skyrim, I can do that. I want to actually take the kids and paint. I've taken up painting. I suck at it, but if I want to do some painting, I can actually spend some time doing that and know that I'm doing wonders for my mental health. And your optimum brain function is going to contribute to your productivity. So we have to take care of our brains. We have to take care of our mental and physical health. And then Sunday, family day, let me tell you, I will still wake up at 5 a.m. on Sunday so that I can write before the kids get up. But once they get up, they're my priority. Now, this isn't, I know not everybody has kids, not everybody has a situation, but it's just an example. You can still set your priorities to family, to your spouse or your partner, or say, hey, I want to hang out with my friends this week, and get that socialization. Has anyone ever played Sims? Yeah, so you know how important that social part is. Everything starts coming down if you don't get a little socialization. Or if you just want to spend a day scrolling social media, schedule that in so you can get your fix, right? But that doesn't mean you don't write around it. It just means that for the day you have a certain priority and you can stick to it. All right, let's go through this. And you can see I scheduled my newsletter for a Monday task. Go ahead and next. I have all of these things out. I have work on interior, and I put acknowledgements, about page, copyright page, stuff like that in there to give an example. Go ahead and down. But as you can see, my weeks are very structured, but it's also flexible. It's loose. If it takes me longer because I'm stuck on a tough part, I typically write really dark material. So there are some scenes that are incredibly difficult to write. So maybe that shifts to the right, or maybe I get up early and I finish it on family day before the kids are up, and I can actually move my schedule left because I know that I'm ahead of schedule, and that's great. I can shift things as I go, and this can be evolving. It's not rigid, it's not inflexible, but I'm setting a single priority for each day and knowing that I'm moving the needle forward. All right, go ahead. And of course, month starts over, and I do my social media again. So anyway, weekly scheduling, we're drilling down even further. I cannot end my Sunday night without doing my weekly schedule. And we are not minute pinching, I promise you. It might look like that at first, but this is a practice in self-awareness. This is a practice in knowing yourself and actually saying, if I set myself up for this time, this week, am I going to follow through? Is it going to work for me? It's about finding a process that actually works for you. Right, thanks. Yeah, go through these bills real quick for me. But again, this is like a guideline. You can't take aim at something if you have no picture of what to take aim, right? So we're drawing your target for the week of what you want to accomplish this week, what you want to accomplish each day. We can't take aim at it without having a vision of it. So, all right, go ahead. And a little word real quick about preventing setting yourself up for failure. I have seen so many people say, you know what, I'm going to do 20,000 words this week, but they don't take into account that they have appointments. They don't take into account that they have travel or, X, Y, and Z, and things that you can foresee that you have coming up. And they just say, oh, well, I'm going to do this week, and then they don't, and then they beat themselves up for it. Now, we kind of get a kick out of beating ourselves up. Has anybody ever felt like you kind of get stuck in a cycle of you beat yourself up and you feel bad for it, but then you beat yourself up for it again? Yeah, we have all been there. So this is an example with a day job. My commute was insane, so I tried to do like a normal person commute, and I lived in the DC area, so has anybody ever been through that? It's horrible. Yep, there we go. So anyway, this is a real quick example. Again, I kind of plan things in to try to get maximum brain function. Again, geek here, but go ahead and do the next build. It's really like time blocking and just having, because I'm not going to say, oh, I'm going to write 20,000 words this week, but I don't actually, when I write it out, when I sketch it out, I don't actually have that kind of time. Or I have to know how often I write at certain words per hour, how much time I'm going to get into it. Because if you start getting that cycle where you're getting 3 hours of sleep a night, like I was, you start falling asleep at the wheel. Has anybody done that? That commute was insane. Okay, next. And I did one, if you are working from home, for those people who are writing from home full-time, I think it was, I can't remember which panel it was, but they said some people find that they have an ideal writing time. For me, that is 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. So I will typically go to Starbucks until lunchtime, and then I come back and I work on author business tasks. So this is partly knowing yourself, knowing what works for you, and then testing it out. Again, this is a guideline. Again, it's a test. So go ahead and skip through that. Another example of the time blocking here for the rest of the day. All right, so some things I want you to remember, and what you can do with these quarterly plan, your monthly map, and your weekly schedule: wash, rinse, and repeat. And it seems like it's going to take a long time. It takes me like 10 minutes to do my weekly schedule sketch. I can do my month map in about 10 minutes. So it's not about drilling into the details. I actually love the idea of bullet journals when I first saw them, and then I saw how long it takes to do everything, and I was like, I'd rather be writing. So, but anyway, none of this is meant to restrain or hamper. It's not to tell you what your system must be. It is helping you develop your system for what works for you and how you can say, I'm setting this target, these goals, and I am developing my plan to actually achieve them. All right, and don't punish yourself if you do not stick to your schedule. If you get into the cycle of punishing yourself, you're just going to keep feeling bad about it. And what this is meant to do is think about it as data. Did I meet this parameter or not? Did I meet what I set or not? Again, just a guideline. I want you to have breathing room for when things happen. Has anyone ever felt like they were confronted with a tragedy and they still tried to work through it because they had a deadline? Yeah, and how horrible did that feel? Yeah, so it is one of those feelings. If we can prevent it, why wouldn't we? If we can stop and say, my family needs me right now, without feeling, stressed out. I know, I did want to mention it, like Mal said, she works better on shorter deadlines. I do that too. When they told me I had 4 months to write my thesis, I was like, are you kidding me? So, I definitely understand that short deadline thing. I work really good on short deadlines as well. But that's why I actually schedule them in. If I schedule them in, then I know I have things, and in between to get done and stuff like that. But it's all about finding a system that works for you. Give yourself breathing room. Give yourself room to take care of yourself so that you can function, so that you can be productive. All right, go ahead. All right. And again, just know what you need to work on each day. And if you've been following along, my dears, which I know you have because you guys are in here, that means you're awesome. All right, you have just, go ahead and build through. You've created your system. When you work through this, when you actually work through that weekly schedule sketch, and I just call it a sketch because again, it's not a rigid thing. It is not blocking yourself in. When you finish that, you are creating your system for accomplishing things. All right, go through. A little more of these final tips. Just stay flexible. Plan to take breaks. Have that I love my lifetime. And then I love brain dumps. Okay? Brain dumps. Does anybody know what a brain dump is? Yes, brain dump is where you take a notebook, you write down every single thing you can think of that you might need to do. You get it all down on paper, and then you take a highlighter. You highlight the things that have to be done this week, and then you put them in order of importance on a new, fresh sheet of paper. And you actually get sight on how much really could fall to the wayside. The world is not going to end if these other tasks don't get completed. And there's some other things here. Burn your to-do list. I know, it sounds radical, but burn your to-do list. I actually write my to-do list on my double sliding glass doors because they're near my workspace. And I love it because the windows get cleaned a lot, but sometimes my 4-year-old son, he's already writing, but he loves to say, "Guess what, Mommy, I cleaned it for you." And you know what? It reminds me of what Stephen King said in On Writing about he doesn't write his story ideas down. Now, I don't believe in that, but he said what's important will stick with you. And I have found in those times with my adorable little son that I cannot possibly be mad at in an instant, I have found what was really important. I know what I need to do. Because I know that I have my priorities for the week. I know that I have each thing laid out that I need to get done. And I have all these worksheets and the workbooks for you guys. So if you just want to print it out, try it, totally free. I highly recommend it. And then use timers. If you say you're going to set a 30-minute block for social media and checking your messages, set a timer. Otherwise, you get in that time suck and you spend 2-3 hours on social media when you could have been writing, you could have been marketing, you could have been learning about ads to set up your advertising, right? Has anyone ever done that? You start checking your messages and it's 3 o'clock and then you look up and it's dinner time? Yeah, that sucks. All right, next. So, real quick, become a freight train. Go ahead and build, there we go. So, as you build your system, you are laying the tracks for your success, and you get heavy like a freight train through discipline. And I don't mean discipline like keeping yourself rigid and structured. I do not want to hamper your creativity, but the discipline of saying, I need to know what works for me. I need to know how to build my productivity. It's so hard for yourself, your inner critic, or others to stop you once you have built momentum. All right, go ahead. And why do we want to do all this? That's a cool picture of burnout, all right? But what does burnout really look like? Next. It looks like this. And has anyone ever felt like this? Yeah. I don't like feeling like that. And I have struggled with depression at times when I thought that I burned myself out, because I tell you what, I didn't just wake up one day and I was good at getting all of this stuff done for my kids and being there for them, and it took so much practice in learning, and that's all that I ask you to do is practice, learning about a system that can work for you. All right, next. Again, why do we do all this? Go ahead and click it. I hope you guys like this. Oh, there's no music. Okay. But hopefully it's still cute. It's with second music. I love concerts. Did anybody see me in my AC/DC concert shirt last night? I don't know why they're doing jumping jacks. But that's fun, right? But yeah, so let's design our lives to include more of the good stuff. And then next, all right, so this is just how you can get a hold of me if you want to build that through. See, this is old faithful old blue here that I'm in, so I'm easily recognizable. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, I'm on Twitter sometimes. But I really hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions, we might have a minute or two, but I just encourage you to practice. Any questions? Oh!
You had Trello boards on that? What are those?
Oh, I love Trello. It's free. You can get a free version. But some people do Kanban boards with Post-it notes, but it's just like little digital boards, and they even can have like backgrounds or even corkboard backgrounds. And it's almost like Post-it notes, but you can expand them and say, I have to do this task. And it's just really flexible way of scheduling and planning and organizing. Any other questions?
So I didn't know that you have some sort of print version of your method available, and I know your speakers are told really talk about your subject, but don't build up your own.
Sell yourself.
Yeah, don't sell your own stuff. Sell me your stuff. I mean, what is it? I'm asking you, so now you have permission to tell me about it.
Awesome. So this big hunk of burning love right here is the Ultimate Authorship Planner. This is undated, but I do have a dated version for each year, and I get them updated, so we're getting, based on reviews, I improve things each year, but this is a comprehensive way to balance both the creative and writing sides of being an author. I hadn't seen anything like this, so I worked with my close-knit group of authors, and I said, what's going to work? And we created this 370-page monster baby. And this is what has kept me on the road to ever improving productivity for the past 3 years. I don't think I could have completed my master's degree. This isn't the greatest GPA, but I'm okay with it. 3.456. So, yeah, and I volunteer for some academic projects. I'm hoping to get some academic publishing as well, because none of what I do is enough, right? Anybody feel like that? But we're collecting English translations of ancient papyri, and my project is specifically focused in Oxyrhynchos in Egypt. So I get to organize, I get to volunteer, I get to support my kids in school, and I didn't, sometimes it was hard to see how I would complete my master's degree with everything I had going on, but that is why I did. But thank you so much for asking about it. If anybody wants to come look at it, let me know. I typically I don't go anywhere without one, so.
Awesome.
Where is it available?
I highly recommend Lulu. The print quality is gorgeous. You get heavier pages, and they have coil bound, which Amazon doesn't do coil binding. So
what is the title of the?
The Ultimate Authorship Planner is undated, and the 2020 Author's Planner is dated for 2020. Okay, so thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. I'm getting the chop it off sign, chop off my head sign. Thank you guys.